So I assume all of you have seen the 1985 classic Back to the Future. And if not, well then what are you doing with your time? Pause this video and go watch it right now. So for those who have seen it, I propose a theory. What if George McFly, our main protagonist's father, knew all along that his son was a time traveller? But what do I mean by this? Well, in Back to the Future, Marty McFly goes back in time and gets stuck in the 50s for a week. While stuck in the 50s, he makes quite an impression on everyone he talks to. Most people use this as a point to argue that it's a plot hole with this movie, that his parents don't recognise him. But I'm going the complete opposite route. In my theory, they know exactly who he is. So let's look at the facts. George, Marty's father, is a big fan of science fiction. We know this because he outright says it and becomes a best-selling science fiction author later in life.
Your first novel.
Like I've always told you, you put your mind to it, you can accomplish anything.
This means that he would be well aware of the concept of time travel. So for our second piece of evidence, we take this scene in Lou's cafe.
You mean tab?
First, Marty orders a tab. Tab was a kind of soda in America that came out in 1963, so 8 years after this takes place. So, sticking to the theme of carbonated drinks, he then orders a Pepsi Free. This came out in 1982. He is also later seen trying to open a bottle of Pepsi by twisting the cap off. Then 3 years later, twist-off caps were released. Marty then predicts that Goldie Wilson will become mayor. Goldie Wilson becomes mayor in roughly 1982. Now, think about how many times Marty calls George Dad in 1955.
Hey, Dad! George! Hey, you in the fight! Dad!
You're not gonna be picking a fight, Dad. Daddy-o.
Later, he gets hit by his grandfather's car and wakes up in his mother's house. He wakes up without any pants, but it's specifically stated that his underwear is Calvin Klein.
Calvin, why do you keep calling me Calvin?
Well, that is your name, isn't it? Calvin Klein?
He then adopts Calvin Klein as an alter ego. But then, in 1968, the exact Calvin Klein logo was printed on underwear. Then, 8 years later, in 1962, the skateboard was invented. And I think it would be pretty hard for them to forget Marty using the skateboard, or as they call it, the board with wheels, to make Biff and his friends crash into a manure truck. Now if you think about it, these are pretty weak straws to go off, but there's three main ones that are practically indisputable. When Marty's trying to get his dad to take his mother to the dance, he appears to him in a radiation suit. He says that his name is Darth Vader. Star Wars came out in 1977. He also says that he resides on the planet Vulcan. Cut to 1966, when Star Trek came out and introduced the character of Spock from planet Vulcan. And if you want to use the point that George could have forgotten the entire ordeal, would you forget it if an alien shows up in your room in the dead of night and threatens to melt your brain? Yeah, I didn't think so. So then later at the dance, Marty shows off so many things from the future, it would be impossible to ignore it as just a weird coincidence. Even predicting to his parents that they will get married, have kids, and subsequently one of their kids will set fire to the living room rug when they're 8 years old. Then cut to 1976, when their son, also named Marty McFly, accidentally sets fire to the living room rug. At this point, they would realise something weird's going on, if they haven't already. Then 3 years after the dance, Chuck Berry is seen singing Johnny B. Good on live TV, doing the same duck walk that Marty did. And then during the end, when Marty's raving on about the car being wrecked, and after George confirms it isn't, George throws Marty a look like he knows something. Because he probably does. He'd be probably waiting for the day the timeline would catch up and Marty would start acting completely different. Also, side note, whatever happened to the other Marty? I don't know about you, but that sounds like a good video for another day. But hey, who's to say? It's not like this was part of the original script or something.